Hi, and welcome. This is Tali Teaches, and I'm about to tell you all about solving absolute value equations. Absolute value equations are actually pretty simple, especially if you know what absolute value is. So first, let's make sure we do know what absolute value is. Absolute value of x is going to be either the positive or negative version of x. For instance, if I have the absolute value of x is equal to 3, then that means that x is either going to be 3 or x is going to be negative 3. And that's going to help us solve different things. And that should make a little bit of sense, because when you take the absolute value of something, it doesn't matter if it was positive or negative, the final answer is going to be a positive answer because it's the distance of that number from 0. So we're going to start with something pretty simple. We've got the absolute value of x is equal to 4. So we will write either x is 4 or x is negative 4. Nothing else to do because we have a single answer, a single numeric answer for both of those. And so we can move on, and that is the solution. X is 4. And sometimes you can just put a comment and say x is 4 or negative 4, and that's usually a good way to do it. Here, though, we've got the absolute value of 4 is divided by 4. So in order to get the absolute value of x by itself, we're going to multiply by 4 as our first step to get the 4 to go away and isolate my absolute value of x. Now we're ready to say that x is either going to be 24 or x is going to be negative 24. So when we get our solution, we can say x is either 24, comma, negative 24. Let's look for a trick question. This one right here is a trick question. Absolute value of x is equal to negative 10. This one right here would be no solution, and the reason is all absolute values are positive. The absolute value of 3x minus 1 is equal to 7. Well, that means everything inside of the absolute value symbols is going to be set equal. You're going to write that whole expression down, and you're going to say it's either going to be equal to positive 7, or that same statement could be equal to negative 7. So now you have a separate equation, and we're going to solve both equations. Do not assume they're going to get the same answer, because this 7 and this negative 7 are going to change how the answers look. So I'm going to add 1 to both sides on this left side. Alright, so this one is going to be x is 8/3. Let's look at the other one. We're going to add 1 to both sides. 3x is equal to negative 6. So therefore, this one turns out to be negative 2. It's okay for your final answer to have a negative in it. Only so you can write down in your final solution that x is equal to 8/3 and negative 2. Or negative 2. Either or. Sometimes you're going to have to check for extra solutions, and we can do that here. If we put in 8/3, that would be 8 minus 1, which is 7. If we put in negative 2, we will get negative 6, negative 7, and we would end up with a positive 7 at the end. So there's no extraneous solution on this one here. This kind. Normally, you guys, you probably hop to saying, oh, let's do some distributive property. Well, I'm here to tell you that you are not. Do not use distributive property on absolute value signs. Okay, and that means that you're going to have to get rid of the thing out front by using its inverse. The inverse of multiplying by 1/2 is either dividing by 1/2 or multiplying by 2. So we're going to multiply by 2 on both sides. That gets rid of the 1/2. Copy the absolute value symbols as well as the problem. 5 times 2 is 10. So now we can do two separate equations. X plus 4 is either positive 10 or x plus 4 is negative 10. Then you are going to subtract your 4. So the first one turns out to be 6. Subtract 4 here. That one turns out to be negative 14. So when you write your two solutions, it's going to be 6 and negative 14. Alright, that should be it for these type of problems. The only time these are going to be no solution is if you've isolated the absolute value and you found yourself with a negative number right here. That's the only time you're going to call this a no solution problem. Now there are going to be maybe some different special circumstances in which you need to plug in your values, substitute your values back in, and make sure you don't have any extraneous values, and that would be very nice. So make sure you do that, double check your answers, and you'll be fine. That's it for today. This is Tally Teaches, and I'm signing off.